So Kamala Harris lost the election on Tuesday. You all know that now, unless you woke up from a coma, in which case, thanks for rejoining society. Kamala Harris lost, and I think this should be a real eye-opening thing. The Democrats could actually look at this as being an actual opportunity for them, but I'll dig into that a little bit later on. What I want to say is that I don't understand why the Democrats still do not get the point that 51% of the people do not appreciate being called garbage. The Democrats lost handedly. They lost the Senate. Looks like the Republicans will hold the House. They lost the popular vote, and they lost the Electoral College. So they don't even have that this time around. They've been able to, over the last couple of election losses, be able to say, we won the popular vote, and we need to get rid of the Electoral College because that's clearly stopping the will of the people. They don't even get to say that this time. They just lost, full stop. I want to just basically say a couple of the reasons why I think they lost. One of the reasons is Kamala Harris only ran on one issue, and that one issue was abortion. That was it. And although that is a good issue to run on, it shouldn't be the only one, especially when there's a lot of problems with that being the only issue that you're running on. First of all, Trump has said many times that he would veto any idea to put a national abortion ban through. Now, obviously, Trump lies. So you could be like, yeah, but he's maybe lying or probably lying, which is possible. So I do understand that. But still, he has said that. Even though you might think he's full of shit and a liar, there are other people who are like, I don't want a national abortion ban, but I do want Trump. And he said he isn't going to do one. Therefore, I can sleep easy at night by voting for him. The idea of abortion being expanded, well, that was on the ballot in 10 states. There were propositions on the ballots in order to expand abortion in 10 different states. And in 7 states, it was expanded. So in those states, you got to have your cake and eat it too. If you didn't like Kamala Harris and you liked Trump, but you really cared about a woman's right to choose, you got to vote to expand abortion rights and also vote for Trump. So it just wasn't as much of a slam dunk issue as they made it sound like. They really made it sound like, this is the end if we don't do this. But enough people could see in front of their eyes. Trump said he's not going to allow a federal abortion ban, and I can actually vote to expand abortion rights in my state and still vote for Trump. So that one issue, when it's the only one and there's enough things that you can sort of poke holes in it, it gave people, at the very least, the freedom to feel like they could still vote for him. You go into the trans issue, specifically things like trans women in female spaces and trans women in female sports. This is a thing that a lot of people on the right care about passionately. And they think that they are protecting women by doing that. Now, the left thinks they're protecting women by protecting a woman's right to choose. Both people think they're protecting women. What the Democrats do, what the left wing tends to do, is they tend to say, everything you think is real is not. So this issue of trans women in sports or women in women's spaces, it's not a real thing that you need to worry about. And if you're worried about it, it's because you are transphobic, right? That's the only reason why you could possibly be concerned with this issue. And people are tired of being told that the things that they're seeing happening aren't happening. This is their playbook, right? You see something is happening, they say, no, it's not. You're just crazy. You're reading the wrong news. You're full of shit. It's not happening. Then once, they can't really ignore that it's at least happening somewhat, they say, okay, it's happening a bit, but it's not like an epidemic of it. It's not happening so much that we need to focus any of our attention on it. Then once it cannot be ignored, once it's clear that it's happening a significant amount, they basically go to, yeah, it's happening and it's good. Then when she became vice president, basically they ended up kind of pushing her to the background because anytime that she did press conferences about different issues, especially the border was one of the big ones, she just couldn't answer the question. She did not handle the pressure of being questioned like that. She's a good speaker. If she can be prepared, she won the debate against Donald Trump handedly and looked great in it. She just can't handle the pressure of the questions. A lot of people were saying, she was put in too late to the race and people didn't have time to get to know her. Bullshit. People got a lot of time to get to know Kamala Harris, and they just didn't like her. She just doesn't have a good track record. So another reason why they lost was they played the race and misogyny card. However, I would like to give a brief amount of kudos to them. They played it a lot less than I thought they were going to. I thought that was basically everything we were going to hear every time there was a criticism. Now, there was definitely times where it was played, though, and it just doesn't sit well. Even if the Democratic Party themselves weren't playing it, the media that was clear to support the Democratic Party were playing it more than they should have. If you ever get in a spot where you really can't defend what Kamala Harris has said or done, or her actions now about maybe not sitting for interviews or any of this other shit, basically what they can say is, well, that's because you're afraid of a strong black woman. All people are really tired of being told that they're racist because they don't want to vote for a person, or they think that a person's opinion or their policy is wrong. You're not racist because you don't think that Kamala Harris would be good with immigration, for example. Next issue. The Democrats think everyone is stupid. They think Trump supporters are stupid, obviously, because they say it. It went from the demographic of non-college educated went to uneducated really quick. The lady on The View the other day called them non-educated. It's not non-educated. It's not college educated. They were educated. They were educated in the American school system, which this literally could be the Spider-Man meme of the Republicans and Democrats pointing at each other, because they have both, over the last plenty of decades, had control over federal government, the House, the Senate, so many things that could have fixed their education system. So if you want to blame the education system and you think that everybody is non-educated, then you have to also look at yourself. You had chances to fix that if you really think that's the problem. So clearly they think that Trump supporters are stupid, but they also think that their own supporters are stupid by not actually, again, this goes back to some of the previous things I was saying, focusing on multiple issues, things that actually affect people's day-to-day lives. They basically think, look, all we have to do is wave the shiny thing in their face and say fascism over and over again, and say racism, and say misogyny, and just hit all the identity politic points. We don't really have to put out anything of substance, and we will get our base. People actually can just see through that bullshit. The Democrats placate their fringe. There's a lot of people on their side of the aisle that are fucking nuts. And they don't even agree with the Democrats most of the time. Half of these people don't end up voting for the Democrats because they don't think the Democrats are good enough on their issues, because no one could ever be good enough on their issues. This is what happened with Israel-Palestine. The Democrats refused to take a hard stance on it because they thought too much of their constituency was pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, and then they were like, we can't really talk about this. They've put themselves in a position where they couldn't just say, we support Israel. So all they can do is call for limp dick ceasefires, threaten to withhold aid from Israel. That was never going to be enough for that group of fucking crazy people on their side. There's a lot of fringe on the left. They don't know how to deal with them. They give them too much lip service, and then they end up looking like they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. How the fuck can we ever vote for these people? How can we trust these people to do anything? We have no idea where they stand because they can't make a firm commitment to anything. Bad faith commentary. The media and the Democrats and everybody saying that Trump called for the assassination of Liz Cheney, which did not happen. What Donald Trump said was that Liz Cheney is a war hawk, a radical war hawk. And he would like to see how she felt if she was standing with a rifle in her hand and 9 other rifles were pointed at her. Now, it's very easy for these politicians to sit in their offices and send other people to war, but they never have to do it themselves. But immediately people said that this was him saying that Liz Cheney should be executed. And that is just so obvious to anybody who saw the whole quote. This is classic misinformation. He basically said that politicians send people to war because it's easy for them because they don't have to do it themselves. That's what Michael Moore used to say. That's what made Michael Moore rich. That's what all Democrats and left-leaning people used to say. Back during George W. Bush's presidency, that was a commonplace thing. All these politicians, like the Cheneys, like to send people to war, and they don't really care because it's not them. You have to be able to admit when Trump says something right. If in 2023, Joe Biden had announced that he was not going to be seeking re-election, and done what everybody thought he was going to do and what he himself kind of hinted at doing, which was stepping aside. I did this to beat Trump. I was your man to take Trump down, but look at me. I'm old. I don't think I should run for re-election. We're going to open up the primaries. We're going to give you a good look at some young blood, and you guys are going to pick the Democrat that you think is right to take over after I'm done. That would have been the best way to do it. I had 2 years to look at different candidates, got to know them, got to see what they had done previously, got to hear what they were planning on doing, and then people could have made an informed decision through primary process and voted for the right Democrat. They still should have done some form of primary process immediately after that debate. They shouldn't have pissed around for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was after the debate where Biden said, nope, I'm still running. There's nothing wrong. And just all the rumblings of everybody saying like, he's not serious, right? Even people, obviously lots of Democrats, lots of people in the media were saying all that stuff, and they just let it happen. They should have been iron fist as soon as that debate ended. Hey, buddy, that's it. We're giving you the hook on this one. You can't do it. We're going to start this process so that we can put up somebody that can beat Donald Trump. They didn't do that. So then it went on for long enough that it was like, well, we've got to do something. We've got to put somebody up. And it ended up just being Kamala Harris, which was not the choice of the people. And the last thing I want to say is this is what I alluded to at the beginning. I was going to get into why I think that the Democrats should be a little more optimistic. They got their asses kicked badly. If this election had have gone the way of 2016, where they won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College, if they had have narrowly won the Electoral College and the popular vote, it would have told them that what they did was right. So it ends up being this thing where they would have won or just lost, and it would have been enough for them to sort of still justify what it is they're doing. They can't do that anymore. They just got their asses kicked so bad, they had to go back to the drawing board. And this should be a thing where they now can go, look, we're going to drop all this bullshit. We're going to stop calling people garbage when they don't vote for us and calling them racist and transphobes and misogynists when they don't vote for us. We're going to stop doing that because it's not a winning strategy. I think all of the people who voted for Trump hate the identity politic bullshit. And I think a bunch of the people who voted for Kamala Harris hate the identity politic bullshit, but they also hate Trump more. The election relied on the economy, immigration, crime, I don't know, the wars that are going. These are the things that people actually give a shit about. We're going to start talking about those. Enough with the bullshit. Let's try to give people what they want. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please like, subscribe. Also, were you at all shocked by what happened in this year's election? If so, let me know in the comments below. If you weren't shocked, let me know about that too. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.